"Will you marry me, Ella?" "I love you," Chief Obi asked, kneeling in front of her and holding out a beautiful gold ring. His smile was wide, confident, and charming. Ella gasped, eyes widening. "I will marry you, Chief," she interrupted before he could finish. Her hands trembled as she slipped the ring onto her finger, admiring how it sparkled in the sunlight. It was a dream come true. Chief Obi, the wealthy man everyone talked about, had chosen her. She couldn't contain her joy and started dancing around. "This is the best day of my life," she shouted, still spinning in circles, her laughter filling the air. The gold ring felt heavy on her hand, a symbol of the luxury she had always wanted. She rushed to her hostel to share the exciting news with her roommates. The moment Ella stepped inside the big room, she burst into song. "I feel like I'm flying to the moon," she sang, spinning around the room like she was floating on air. Her roommates, Amora and Bisela, sat on their beds, staring at her in confusion. "Ella, what is going on?" Amora asked, eyes narrowing. "He proposed. Chief Obi finally proposed to me," Ella shouted, jumping up and down. She waved her hand in front of them, showing off the shiny gold ring. "Look, I'm getting married to Chief Obi, Mr. Cash himself." Amora's expression darkened. "Wait, you accepted his proposal? Ella, haven't you heard about Chief Obi's past? 4 wives, all dead within 8 years. Something's wrong with that man. You need to think carefully about this." Bisela chimed in, her face equally concerned. "Ella, everyone knows what happened to his wives. They all died under strange circumstances. You shouldn't rush into this." Ella glared at her roommates, Bisela and Amora, her voice tight with frustration. "Enough. Mind your own business. If you can't be happy for me, then keep your opinions to yourself." Without waiting for a response, she stormed off, changing clothes before heading to the bathroom. It had been a long day, but a shower and rest were all she needed to wash away the negativity. That night, as her roommates drifted off to sleep, Ella lay awake, a thrilled smile tugging at her lips as she admired the sparkling ring on her finger. She whispered to herself, "I can't believe the great Chief Obi chose me. I'm so lucky. Soon, I'll be walking down the aisle with him." Her heart raced with excitement, and she eventually drifted off to sleep, clutching the ring like it was a lifeline. Chief Obi, known far and wide as Mr. Cash, was not just any man, he was the man. A billionaire with businesses, properties, cars, and houses across Lagos, he had earned a reputation for his wealth and the extravagance with which he wielded it. Rumor had it that any woman who spent even a single night with him would leave the next morning with the keys to a luxury car. Many women dreamed of having even one chance encounter with him, captivated by the allure of his wealth. But there was a darker side to his tale, a side that the whispers couldn't silence. In his late 50s, Chief Obi had been married 5 times. His first wife, the woman who had stood by him when he had nothing, had eventually left him, taking their children with her. Since then, each of his subsequent wives had met an untimely end, 4 wives gone within just 8 years. Though suspicions arose, the families of his deceased wives were oddly silent, their lips sealed as he continued to support them financially. The eerie pattern left others in uneasy silence, and yet, countless women still dreamed of being chosen by him. Ella was one of those dreamers. A tall, slender beauty from a humble background, she had felt a stroke of fortune the day Chief Obi pulled his luxury car over as she waited for a taxi. From that moment, he had showered her with gifts, luxury outfits, and all the money she could ask for. Fueled by the allure of wealth, Ella quickly forgot about her past and even her boyfriend of 5 years, Emma, who had always been her rock, supporting both her and her family. Barely 2 months into dating, Chief Obi proposed, his ring gleaming with the promise of an opulent future. Ella woke up with excitement fluttering in her chest. She couldn't believe she was getting married. She glanced around the room and noticed her roommates, Amora and Bisela, had left for their lecture without waking her. "Like I care," she muttered, brushing off the slight. Just then, her phone rang, and her face lit up at the sight of Chief Obi's name. "My sweetheart, did you sleep well?" Chief Obi's deep voice filled her with warmth. "Yes, I did," Ella replied, though her smile faded slightly. "But my roommates tried to ruin my mood yesterday. Instead of being happy for me, they kept trying to discourage me." Chief Obi's voice turned uneasy. What did they say? Ella hesitated. They said that you're hiding something. How could you lose 4 wives in just 8 years? They think something is wrong. A heavy silence followed. Finally, Chief Obi's voice, tinged with irritation, broke through. Is that what they think? Don't let their jealousy get to you, Ella. They're just bitter because you're lucky to have a man like me. You're right, they're just jealous. All right, my love. Take care. I'll call you back, Chief Obi said abruptly, hanging up quickly. Ella's excitement turned to worry. Why did he end the call so fast? Did she upset him? Shaking off the thought, she got ready for the day, but her unease lingered. Meanwhile, in his office, Chief Obi was pacing, his face drawn and tense. I need to pay her bride price fast. These children won't ruin my plans. I must act quickly before she starts to doubt. The next day, during her usual visit, Chief Obi held Ella's hand and looked deeply into her eyes. Ella, let's set a date to meet your parents, he said, his tone serious. Ella's eyes lit up, and she agreed, though there was a hint of worry in her voice. I just hope they accept you, Chief. You know, because of your age and your past. My parents can be strict, and I don't want to lose you. Don't worry, Chief Obi replied, his smile cold but confident. Once I shower them with gifts and show them the life I can give you, they won't have a choice. I hope so, Ella murmured, feeling a bit uneasy. She forced a smile, then laughed it off as they continued their evening together. Chief Obi and Ella eagerly fixed the date for their long-awaited visit to her parents. With excitement in his heart, Chief Obi took her on a shopping spree, filling the car with gifts, clothes, shoes, foodstuffs, and even a brand new phone for her parents. He felt a swell of satisfaction, believing his grand plan was finally coming together. On the chosen Sunday, with the sun shining brightly, Chief Obi drove Ella to her family's house. As they approached, a mix of anticipation and anxiety swirled within him. After a few hours on the road, they arrived, and Ella's parents rushed outside, curious about the luxurious car that had pulled into their driveway. Their confusion turned to shock as they recognized their daughter stepping out alongside Chief Obi. What is this evil man doing in my house? Her father muttered, a cold dread creeping into his heart as he began to piece together Chief Obi's intentions. With a nervous smile, Chief Obi stepped out of the car, revealing the bags of goodies he had brought, with Ella's help. Her parents remained on edge, their minds racing. They hurried inside, eager to confront Ella about her surprise visit. Ella, why didn't you tell us you were coming? Her mother asked, concern etched on her face. Ah, Mummy, I wanted to surprise you. I tried calling, but your phone was switched off, Ella replied, her excitement dimmed by her mother's frown. Okay, her mother replied, still not fully convinced. Please, Mama and Papa. Chief Obi introduced himself, his voice steady as he looked between Ella's parents. I am Chief Obi, a successful businessman in the community. I love your daughter, Ella, deeply, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I am here to seek your blessing for marriage. Ella's father's face hardened, his brows knitting together. Marriage? You must be joking. My daughter is not marrying you. You've had 5 wives, 4 died under mysterious circumstances, and 1 ran off with your children. God forbid I should lose my only child to you. Ella felt a cold chill at her father's words, her heart racing. Could this man really be so dangerous? Please, Chief Obi, don't be offended, Ella's mother interjected quickly, casting a nervous glance at her husband. He didn't mean it that way. Just give him some time to calm down. I'll speak with him about your proposal. For now, you'll have to leave without Ella. She's just returned, and would like her to spend some days with us as a family. Chief Obi nodded, though disappointment flickered in his eyes. I understand, Ma. I respect your wishes and will wait patiently for your answer. Before leaving, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a thick bundle of cash. Please, take this to support the family, he said warmly, his smile almost disarming. And know that there will be much more if you consider my request to marry your daughter. Ella excitedly escorted Chief Obi to his car, promising to join him soon. As Chief Obi drove away, he thought about many things. What if that meddling man spoils my plan? Ella's father better respect himself and not stand in my way. I must marry that girl. She is the chosen one, and nothing can stop it, he muttered darkly to himself. Meanwhile, Ella's mother was overjoyed with the bundle of cash Chief Obi had given her. She danced happily, singing his praises, while her husband watched in quiet disapproval. Ella walked inside, furious. Father, you better accept Chief Obi, or I will run away from this house, she declared after seeing him off. I love him, and I must marry him, she said angrily before storming inside her room. Did you hear her? Her mother snapped at her husband. Your daughter loves him. You better accept him, or I will run away with her. That night was difficult for Ella's father. Unable to sleep in the room he shared with his wife, he went to the sitting room to think. Can't my wife see the handwriting on the wall? Must everything be about money? Why is she so desperate? He wondered, feeling confused and worried. The next day, he called a family meeting. Ella, it's not that I don't want you to marry the man of your choice, but that man is evil. His past record is too bad. I don't want to lose you, I want the best for you, he said earnestly. Father, allow me to worry about my life. Ella interrupted rudely. Chief Obi is a good man. His wives died because it was their time. My case will be different. I am a child of grace, she replied proudly. Her father sighed. But Ella, I know you have a boyfriend, Emma. What happened to him? That young man has been a great help to you and our family. Emma is still struggling. I deserve a better life, and you both deserve it too. Ella said angrily. Oh yes, her mother interjected. Who wants to suffer? Chief Obi is a very wealthy man. Forget about the rumors, this man will change our lives for good. Look at what he bought for us, expensive things, and he still gave us a bundle of cash. Who does that? This man is made. But, Father, do you like suffering? Do you prefer to live in poverty? This marriage must work, and no one will stop it. Ella insisted. Meanwhile, Chief Obi was troubled at home. I hope Ella isn't trying to change her mind. Why is her number not connecting? He wondered anxiously, dialing her number again. After days of pressure from Ella's mother, her father finally relented and agreed to accept Chief Obi. Ella was overjoyed when her mother informed her that her father had accepted Chief Obi's proposal. Filled with excitement, she rushed to her father's room to express her gratitude. Thank you, Father, for supporting my decision, she exclaimed, her eyes shining with happiness. Her father looked at her with concern. Ella, I am not entirely in favor of this marriage. You are a grown-up and can make your own choices, but I hope you won't come to regret it. This decision has come with threats of you running away, which is why I reluctantly agreed. Don't worry, Father, I promise I'm making the right choice, Ella replied, trying to ease his worries. I'll inform Chief Obi right away. As she hurried back to her room, she dialed Chief Obi's number. Meanwhile, Chief Obi was growing anxious. Ella's phone had been unreachable, and his master's warning about time weighed heavily on his mind, making him restless. Just then, his phone lit up with a loud ringtone. Ella's name flashed across the screen. He jumped up, unable to contain his excitement. My love, what happened? I've been worried, he said, voice laced with urgency. Sweetheart, my phone has been off. We haven't had electricity since you left, and it just came back today, she explained softly, hoping to calm him down. Sweetheart, guess what? I can't guess. Just tell me, he replied, masking his anxiety. Ella's voice brightened. My father has accepted your proposal. She couldn't contain her joy as she screamed the words into the phone. Yes, yes. I'm so happy, Ella, Chief Obi exclaimed, dancing around his room. I'll come by tomorrow to discuss the wedding preparations. As he ended the call, he thought to himself, I need to rush this wedding before she changes her mind. My money can sort everything quickly. The next day, Chief Obi suspended work, eager to finalize his marriage to Ella. He drove straight to her house, where she greeted him with an excited hug. I've missed you, she said, her face radiant with happiness. Inside, Chief Obi greeted Ella's mother, whose face was beaming with joy. Ella's father, however, wore a stern expression, clearly reluctant about the marriage. Chief, here's the list of items needed for the marriage rites. He handed Chief Obi a letter. Chief Obi perused the list and replied, Can I pay everything in cash? I don't have time for delays, I'm a busy man. Ella's mother was shocked when Chief Obi opened his briefcase to reveal bundles of cash. This is real money. My daughter has struck gold, she thought, marveling at the sight. This should cover everything, food, drinks, and outfits for everyone, Chief Obi said, placing a large sum on the table. What about the white wedding? Ella's father asked suspiciously. Oh, that's in my next plan, Chief Obi assured them, trying to put them at ease. After finalizing their wedding arrangements, Chief Obi left Ella's home late in the evening, his heart soaring with happiness. Ella, too, felt like she was floating on air, overwhelmed with joy. But little did she know, her excitement would soon be overshadowed by a chilling nightmare. That night, as Ella lay in bed, the world around her shifted into darkness. In her dream, a group of women dressed in white robes surrounded her, their laughter echoing like a haunting melody. You will regret this, Ella. It's not too late to turn back, they said, chasing her with sticks. Their words pierced her heart, and in a panic, she woke up with a scream. Her mother rushed to her side, alarmed. Ella, what's wrong? She asked, her voice full of concern. I saw women in white, like ghosts. Ella stammered, her eyes wide with terror. They chased me, telling me to run. Her mother reassured her, brushing away her fear. It was just a nightmare. You're safe now. I'll stay with you. The next day, Ella still felt uneasy from the dream. What did it mean? As the date of her traditional wedding came closer, Ella and her mother went to the market to buy food and clothes for the ceremony. Chief Obi sent extra money to make sure they had everything they needed. Finally, the big day came. Chief Obi wore a beautiful golden outfit and drove to Ella's village with his small group of people. He was very happy and excited to celebrate their marriage. Ella also wore a golden outfit and looked so happy. The ceremony started with loud music, and the guests were ready to celebrate. But even though Ella looked happy, she still had a strange feeling, like something was wrong. After the ceremony, when night fell, Chief Obi was ready to take Ella home. He thanked her parents and promised to be a good husband. I'll plan a big wedding in Lagos that everyone will remember, he said. Take good care of Ella, her father warned. Chief Obi smiled. Of course, thank you. Ella changed into a comfortable dress and said goodbye to her parents. Chief Obi drove Ella away from her family's home. As the car sped down the darkened road, the music blasting from the speakers, Ella felt a wave of anxiety. Can you turn down the music? It's too loud, she asked, her voice shaky. Chief Obi's response startled her. Careful, Ella. I now own you. You don't tell me what to do, he snapped, his face hardening with anger. Ella was shocked. This was the first time he had spoken to her like this. She felt a pang of sadness deep in her chest. Realizing his mistake, Chief Obi softened, his voice filled with regret. I'm sorry. It won't happen again, he apologized, but deep down, he was only pretending. At home, after a long day, they both retired to bed. But that night, Ella's sleep was disturbed once again by the ghostly women in white. Run before it's too late. You'll end up like us, they warned, their laughter echoing in her ears. Ella woke up scared and found Chief Obi was missing from the bed. She searched the house, but he was nowhere to be found. When Chief Obi returned the next morning, he was dressed in a deep red outfit. Ella, still shaken by the events of the night, asked, Where were you last night? I had a nightmare and couldn't find you. How dare you question me? He growled, slapping her across the face. I'm the man of this house. Don't you ever question me again. Ella was stunned, tears streaming down her cheeks. She couldn't understand why Chief Obi was acting this way. Later, Chief Obi left for work, locking the door behind him so she couldn't leave. Ella spent the day alone, feeling confused and sad. As he drove away, Chief Obi realized he had been too harsh and worried that he might spoil his plan, risking losing Ella's trust. Deciding he needed to apologize and win her back, he stopped by a supermarket after work and bought her several gifts and treats. When he returned after work, Chief Obi brought the gifts, hoping to win her back. Seeing her tear-stained face, he knelt down beside her. I'm sorry, my love. I lost my temper, he said gently. I'll never hurt you again. Ella accepted his apology, hoping it was just a one-time mistake. But over the next few weeks, the beatings continued. Chief Obi would hurt her over minor things, then apologize with gifts and money. As months passed, Ella couldn't get pregnant, which worried her. She would cry herself to sleep, asking God for a child. Chief Obi, on the other hand, remained indifferent, and not taking it lightly, as he had his own plans. He knew that Ella getting pregnant was part of his scheme. As time passed, his frustration grew, and he began to take out his anger on Ella. Chief Obi took Ella from one hospital to another, desperately searching for answers, but every doctor assured him that she was healthy. Frustrated, he turned to herbal treatments, visiting numerous herbal shops and demanding quick-acting remedies to make her conceive. Ella drank the mixtures, fearing that refusing would only anger him more. But still, nothing changed. Chief Obi grew increasingly anxious, haunted by his master's warnings. With time running out, he decided to seek guidance from his master. One night, as Ella slept soundly, Chief Obi dressed in red occultic cloth and quietly left the house, avoiding her questions and suspicions. He drove straight to a house painted in red, where his occult members were already gathered. "What took you so long?" the great master demanded angrily. "Apologies, master," Chief Obi replied. "This woman is clever. I had to make sure she was deeply asleep before coming here." "You fool. I told you to drug her if necessary. Stop letting her outsmart you," the master snapped. "Forgive me, master," Chief Obi said, bowing. The great master looked at him angrily and asked, "Why is your wife not yet pregnant?" "Master, I don't know," Chief Obi replied, frustrated. "I've done everything, doctors, herbs, but nothing has worked." The master's eyes narrowed. "To achieve your desire, you need her blood and the blood of the unborn child to extend your life by 3 more years. Your time is running out. Fail, and you will die." The master's sinister laughter filled the room, echoed by the eerie laughter of the cult members. "I will, master," Chief Obi said, trembling. He left hurriedly to avoid Ella finding out, and when he returned, she was still fast asleep. Quickly changing into his nightwear, he sat in a chair, unable to sleep, fear of death gripping him as he watched her. "I thought she would be fertile. She's so young and innocent. What's holding her back?" he muttered angrily. The next morning, Ella woke and found him sleeping in the chair. She immediately woke him, asking why he'd slept there. "Is it not you? What have I done wrong? I've given you everything you want, but still, giving me a child is so hard." Chief Obi cried, pretending to be hurt. "I'm sorry, my sweetheart. Please let me go see my mother." "She might help," Ella said, more worried than ever, as Chief Obi seized her phone to prevent her from contacting anyone. Weeks turned into months, and the tension continued to build. Chief Obi became more restless and abusive, believing Ella was bad luck. Meanwhile, Ella kept crying, wondering what had happened to her marriage and whether she had made the right decision. One day, strange things began happening in the house. Ella started noticing odd sounds and voices whenever she was alone. Sometimes, she felt as though shadows were following her. The most terrifying experience was hearing the cries of different women. She stepped out of her room, trying to figure out where the cries were coming from, but after searching, she found no one. Out of curiosity, she told Chief Obi about the sounds, but he brushed it off, dismissing it as nothing. Meanwhile, her parents had been worried for months. They hadn't heard from her, and Chief Obi had stopped answering their calls. Ella's father had been having disturbing nightmares, all involving Ella crying for help. Her mother, too, was angry and frustrated that Chief Obi and Ella hadn't sent any money since the wedding. One fateful day, Ella woke up feeling dizzy and sick. The symptoms worsened, and Chief Obi finally took her to the hospital. After several tests, the doctor gave Ella the good news: she was pregnant. Ella didn't know how to feel. She was happy to be pregnant, but Chief Obi's constant beatings were not something she wanted her child to witness. Chief Obi, on the other hand, was so happy. He knew his plan was finally coming to fruition. After the hospital visit, Chief Obi drove Ella home, encouraging her to stop stressing and just focus on the baby. "Sweetheart, can I at least call my parents and share the good news with them?" Ella asked. "Don't worry about it. I'll handle it," Chief Obi replied, changing the subject. Ella was surprised by how suddenly kind and affectionate Chief Obi had become. He no longer beat her and was even romantic and accommodating. But one afternoon, as Ella slept, she suddenly woke up feeling someone trying to strangle her. Terrified, she jerked awake. "Leave, Ella. Leave, or you will die," a voice whispered clearly in the house. Ella was shaken. "Who are you? Say something. You're scaring me," she called out, scanning the empty room, but there was no one. "Your greed will soon lead to grace," the voice responded, followed by an eerie laugh. Ella ran outside, but the door was locked as usual. When Chief Obi came home, he asked why she was outside. I heard the voices again," she stammered, her fear palpable. "Enough, Ella. Pregnancy hormones can cause strange dreams and stress. Stop overthinking things," he said, kissing her and dragging her back inside. That night, Chief Obi mixed a sleeping pill into Ella's juice, pretending to celebrate their success. As Ella drifted off to sleep, Chief Obi quickly changed into his red occultic robe and drove to meet his cult members. "I have good news, Master," Chief Obi said happily. "My wife is pregnant with a child." "Wow. This is good news. You've done well," the Master said. "You'll need to bring her here with the unborn child for the sacrifice, which is in 1 month. Don't fail, or you will die." After the meeting, Chief Obi drove back home, still joyful. He quickly changed into his nightwear and lay next to Ella, pretending to be asleep. Ella, however, was tormented by a nightmare. She saw a group of men flogging her and dragging her into a coffin. Chief Obi, dressed in red, was watching them with excitement. As they pulled her inside the coffin, she woke up, terrified. "Oh my God! Oh my God! What kind of dream was that?" she cried out. Chief Obi feigned waking up and asked what was wrong. "I had a dream. I had a dream," she said, still shaken. "What is it, my love?" Chief Obi asked, pretending to be concerned. This cloth. This cloth." Ella pointed to the red cloth hanging in the wardrobe. "What are you stressing yourself about? Bad dreams are normal during pregnancy," he said, interrupting her and preventing her from saying more. Later, Chief Obi left for work, locking Ella in the house as usual. He was careful, knowing he had less than a month to complete his plan. Ella spent the day feeling restless, her mind racing with the troubling dreams, the sounds, and everything that was happening. She started hearing voices again, this time coming from a room that was always locked. "Who are you? Please, talk to me," Ella asked, standing in front of the door. "I want vengeance. I want justice," the voices responded, making Ella even more scared. She searched for the key to the room. This was the room where Chief Obi kept his occultic items, though Ella was unaware of its purpose. As she searched, her eyes landed on Chief Obi's red cloth. She approached it, noticing something unusual. There were 2 pockets in the cloth, and when she reached inside, she found a white handkerchief stained with blood. Fear gripped her as she reached into the other pocket, trembling, and pulled out a small key. What is this key for? She wondered, even more scared now. Could it be the key to the locked room? She rushed to the door, trembling, and unlocked it. What she saw inside nearly sent her into shock. The room was decorated in red, with pictures of women hanging on the walls. Their eyes were filled with agony. In the corner, she noticed a coffin. She opened it and saw her own picture with a note that read, "In 1 month, you will die and join them." Shocked, she dropped the coffin and backed away. Ella was in a panic. Her heart raced as she heard the ominous voice in the darkness. "Ella, leave now, or you'll share the same fate as us. He killed us. He used us. Save yourself or die young." The voice was haunting, and Ella couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her legs felt paralyzed, and it took every ounce of strength for her to close the door behind her, making sure everything was in place. Running outside, her mind spiraled. I'm finished," she cried, realizing too late that she had ignored the warnings. Her friend, her father, and even a woman who appeared to her in a dream had all warned her. "I wish I had listened. I wish I had focused on my studies and waited for Emma," she cried, overcome with fear and regret. "I'm the only child of my parents. I can't die." In her desperate state, Ella rushed back inside, searching frantically for the key to the gate. but she couldn't find it. God, please give me another chance, she cried, feeling helpless. Just then, she heard the sound of Chief Obi's car outside. Peeking through the window, she saw him stepping out with a smug smile, knowing he had one. Evil man, ritualist, Ella muttered under her breath, terrified, knowing that she couldn't let him catch her. Pretending to be asleep, she lay down, planning her next move. Chief Obi entered the room. "Oh my baby, how are you?" he cooed, but Ella didn't respond. "My baby is sleeping," he murmured, unaware of her intentions. As he went into the bathroom to shower, Ella seized the opportunity. She quietly grabbed the key from the table and tiptoed to the gate. Chief Obi, distracted by the sound of rushing water, didn't hear a thing. With her heart pounding in her chest, Ella opened the gate slowly. Just as she was about to escape, she heard Chief Obi's voice from behind. "Ella, where are you going with my baby? Come back here," he shouted. Panicked, Ella ran faster, but Chief Obi quickly got dressed and rushed after her. "She can't escape. She wants to kill me," he muttered, realizing she had taken the key and run. He drove through the streets, frantically asking anyone if they had seen her, but no one had. Meanwhile, Ella was running blindly, so terrified that she didn't see the truck coming. It hit her, and she lost consciousness. A reverend father, returning from a crusade, found her and rushed her to the hospital. At home, Ella's father felt uneasy all day. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. He prayed silently, asking God to take control. Meanwhile, Chief Obi was frustrated. He returned to his house, but still, no sign of Ella. He wondered what had made her run away. "I've pampered her, cared for her. Why would she leave me now?" As night fell, he dressed in his red occultic robe and drove straight to his meeting place. "Great Master, I am finished. Save me. Ella is gone. I don't know where she is," Chief Obi pleaded, his voice filled with desperation. The Great Master, shocked, replied, "What do you mean, Chief Obi? This can't be true." Suddenly, the Great Master chanted an incantation and realized that Chief Obi's secret room had been unlocked by Ella. "Are you that foolish? How could you be so careless as to leave your key behind?" he demanded. Ella unlocked the secret room. She heard everything, she saw everything. "Your secret has been exposed. Now you are powerless against the spirits. Soon, the souls of those you killed will come to haunt you. Go home, rest, and prepare for your death." Terrified, Chief Obi dropped to his knees, pleading, "Please, help me. Give me another chance." The Great Master's laughter echoed through the room. "You have until tomorrow evening to make up for your mistake. By this time tomorrow, you must bring me a virgin soul along with Ella and her unborn child to complete the ritual. Act quickly, or you will die." Chief Obi's heart sank. "But what about Ella? Can't you help me bring her back?" he begged. "No," the Great Master replied coldly. "This is your burden to bear. Now, go." Devastated, Chief Obi left, knowing there was no way out. That night, the spirits tormented him, their ghostly voices echoing in his ears. Desperate to escape the horrifying sounds, he fled his home, but no matter where he went, he could not escape the haunting. Meanwhile, Ella slowly regained consciousness in the hospital. As she opened her eyes, she saw a priest in white standing beside her. "Please, help me. He's after me and my baby," she pleaded. The priest gently smiled, trying to calm her. "Relax, you are safe now. There is nothing too big for God to handle. Just trust in him," he said reassuringly. "Wait here, let me call the doctor." He went to bring the doctor, who soon arrived with a calm expression. "I'm sorry, Ella," the doctor said softly. "From the tests we ran, we found that you were pregnant. But the baby was still developing and not yet strong. The shock and stress have caused you to lose the baby. I'm truly sorry. Take heart." Ella cried out in anguish as the doctor and priest tried to console her. She felt an overwhelming sense of loss. She didn't know whether to feel happy or sad about losing the baby, as it had connected her to Chief Obi, who had only married her to use her and the child for a ritual. Meanwhile, back at his home, Chief Obi was restless, unable to bear the strange noises and laughter haunting him. Finally, he could see them, the ghosts, mocking and flogging him. Unable to face the torment, He fled to his car and slept outside his house. The next morning, he continued his frantic search for Ella, but his fears kept him from reaching out to her parents, worried that she might have told them what happened and that they would call the police. As night fell, Chief Obi grew desperate. He decided to see his master, hoping for another chance. Distracted and confused as he drove, he accidentally crashed into a truck and died instantly. The ghosts watched in satisfaction, finally at peace, and then disappeared. Back at the hospital, Ella was discharged and taken home by the priest, who prayed for her family and taught them about the power of forgiveness. Her mother felt ashamed for not being a good example. Instead of correcting her, she had supported her. Ella also apologized to her father for not listening to his advice. Her parents felt a deep sense of guilt for not protecting her from Chief Obi, yet they were relieved that she had been saved. Ella, still recovering, struggled to process everything that had happened. Though she regretted her past actions, she was grateful for the second chance she had been given. In time, Ella returned to school, determined to move forward and learn from her mistakes. Her experience had taught her valuable lessons about life, and she shared her story, hoping others could learn from her and avoid similar mistakes. The moral of this story: success isn't found in shortcuts or bloodshed. Ella was lucky to escape, but most aren't. Quick money through evil leads to ruin. True success comes from hard work, honesty, and making smart choices. Build your future with education, skills, and effort. Never trade your values for wealth, because your true worth is who you are, not what you have. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, like, share, and comment. Also, click the notification bell so you'll be notified when I post more interesting stories like this. See you in our next video. Bye.